The latest chapter of One Piece is finally here, and he's giving us a lot of information because the name of it is called The Advent of Nerona Imu. And from that perspective, boom, that's the whole name of the world of One Piece and the biggest boss of One Piece at the same time. And before I start on the review of this latest chapter, I just wanted to go back to the name of Nerona Imu, because that name, we already heard it a little while ago, and it was after the discussion in between Sabo and Monkey D. Dragon and Ivankov as well. And I think that it was at that time that the name Imu came up, and then I remember it was Ivankov who brought the name and was like, yeah, one of the 20 kings back in the day that made the whole coalition of 20 kings and all of that and started the world government was actually named Nerona Imu. So how about that one of those kings actually took over everything at the end? And that's probably what happened. And so history is not well taught in the world of One Piece. When they tell you that, oh, it's 20 kings that made a coalition and that fought during the Void Century and all of that, no, it was actually one that ruled over 19 of them probably to actually do what they did at the end of the Void Century. Information that we're probably gonna get in the future. But now let's get back to the chapter. And from the very beginning of the chapter, just like I said in my previous review and my previous videos, I was saying that Imu is actually going back to Elbaf. Imu was actually in the body of Kungo, and he was fighting Nidhogg and Nika, and he was not working out. And that's why Imu feels like he needs to actually go back in real form, in all of his physical form, to actually fight them, you know? And just like I said, Usopp made the biggest gaslighting of One Piece, because at the same time he was literally able to draw the world of One Piece into this fight on Elbaf. And so now we are on Marijois, and basically Imu is talking to the Gorosei, telling them, yeah, ciao, I'm going to Elbaf because I need to go fight or something. And the Gorosei are like, yeah, please reconsider, Imu, because I don't think it's the good one of the greatest ideas to actually go to Elbaf and everything. But at the same time, Garlic comes in the room with the Gorosei, and Garlic is like, yeah, do you think that everything is at peace? Do you think that our people in like the Celestial Dragons are not hungry and everything? Like, there is crisis over crisis over crisis, and it feels like the other Gorosei members are not doing that much to actually resolve the problems. And that's why Garlic is actually showing up like, yeah, you actually just sit down there and do nothing. You actually need to be on the go. And at the same time, right after that, we hear a Mushi actually calling Garlic, and through that discussion, we understand that he's basically talking to one of the Vegapunks, and that Vegapunk is in the Marijois Labo phase, in the power plant, basically, and she is working on the Mother Flame. And Garlic is like, yeah, we actually need to improve our power and improve our technology and everything, and that's why he's talking to one of the Vegapunks in this scene, and he's telling her that she should literally hurry up and get that power going and the Mother Flame on, because they really need more power. And as the Gorosei is still telling Imu, yeah, Imu, don't go to Elbaf and all of that, like we can dispatch some admirals that would go from the headquarters to the to go to Elbaf and secure everything over there. But one of the other Gorosei members is like, no, I advise you not to do that, because the admirals, the marines, and everybody are already going through a lot. They're already trying to protect and try to do as much as they can around the world of One Piece, especially with everything dragon related, everything Blackbeard related, everything pirates related, and all of that. They are busy and they don't have the time to go to Elbaf and secure, like especially after what happened on Egghead and everything. I don't think that they even have the time to go to Elbaf. And that's where Warkari also shows up, and he's like, yeah, how about we go, the Gorosei, and we go and assist. And that's where Imu comes in, and she's like, no, everything was indeed inevitable, because at the end, Imu is basically like recollecting memories. I think that it's her memories or somebody that told her a story about what happened in the past or whatever, but we get basically a timeline of big events. For example, from David D. Chebek to Goldie Rogers saying search the whole world, to at the same time Shirahoshi, the the birth of Shirahoshi. So Imu knows that Shirahoshi is also born. To at the same time we see Shanks that went and stole the devil fruit, to Elbaf, to Imu going like we don't know what's actually hiding on Elbaf and everything. And then you get to Loki, where Imu apparently investigated on whatever happened back in the day, and they discovered that it was Loki. He was Harold's son, and he was the one who was going around and destroying the world government ships and all of that. To jump into another scene where we have Whitebeard that died protecting even Luffy, to even Marshall D. Teach. And followed with that, we've got King Cobra that was saying, yeah, Nefertari D. Lily. We got Joe Boy, we've got Davy D. Jones. Basically every clue was pretty much over there, but Imu had to put up the whole puzzle so that Imu can see what's actually playing. But Imu did not do that, and that's why it was inevitable. And Imu is like, why do you persist in making Imu suffer? And right after that, he says that Mu desires one person, and that one person is Vivi. The theories are going crazy online already, but what I'm saying is Imu had something going on with Lily back in the day in the Void Century, but Lily would not accept what Imu will tell her, and from that perspective he felt so betrayed and all of that he will come back for the next generation of that same person. Like that's kind of weird, but maybe that's the perspective of it, or maybe it does something to do with how Imu, because I'm gonna be talking about it throughout the chapter, because it looks like Imu is very weak. The body of Imu is weak. So my perspective from it is maybe Imu is looking for Vivi so bad because there's something in her blood, something in her line, in her lineage, where Imu can actually reincarnate itself into Imu, and maybe Imu needs another body to actually survive and not die just because the body is weak. And so that's a possibility. But right after that, we see Imu literally jumping in a pentagram, and poof, from that pentagram, guess what? On Elbaf, there's also a pentagram that King Harold made, and so he can make the jump in between Marijois and Elbaf too, literally in a matter of seconds. And as soon as Imu basically made the jump, you can see that the rest of the Goro say, except Garling, because Garling is the one that, yeah, we need to act, Maybe Garling is playing another game, but that's gonna be another video for another time, because Garling, he might be looking to get Imu's spot. So we'll talk about it in another video. But the rest of the Gorosei, they are shocked. One of them is basically about to start crying. The others are like sweating. They're like, oh my god, Imu is going to the lower realm and everything. But there is no way of stopping Imu, because Imu is the world of One Piece itself, basically. And right after that, now we jump back to the new world, and we are on Elbaf. And on Elbaf right here, we have Gerd that actually caught one of the God's Knights, and I'm talking about Summers. And basically in her hand, in this hand for example, she's holding Summers' face, because you know, Summers is little and Gerd is a giant, so she's holding his face. And in the other hand, she's holding the other part of Summers, basically, and he's basically sliced in half. And she's like, yeah, it looks like every time you get close, it acts like a magnet, like it wants to reattach or something. And at the same time, Summers is pissed. Summers is like, how dare you? Your name is Gerd. I will remember your name, and I will get my revenge someday, sometime. But at the same time, Zoro is with them, and Zoro is watching something very closely. He's like, yeah, that looks like a metallic heart on the ground. And as soon as he saw it, he's like, hey, so that probably belongs to Summers, and probably if I destroy that heart, maybe that it will end Summers. And Summers at the same time is like, he figured it out. And just like I said, that heart is metallic. It's metal. So my theory right now is maybe that Imu needs to get the heart in your body and get you a metallic heart. That way you become immortal. Like, maybe that's a possibility. But we'll talk about it in another video. And now we are near the Walrus School. And near the school, literally we've got Frankie that's looking at Brooke and Usopp. And he's like, you guys, if you want, you are so badly hurt, I can make you into cyborgs and you'll be just fine. No, they just need Chopper. But then Sanji basically is in front of Killingham, and Killingham is made into three separate pieces. In one piece, you've got Killingham's face. In the other piece, you've got his legs, and in the third piece is probably his suit, and inside of his suit is probably his torso. And he's like, "I won't forget your name. Your name is Sanji, right? Say my name. Say my name." And Sanji's like, "I forgot your name." But right then after that, we see that Gunko is still stuck in the block of ice that basically was made by Loki. And we have a little discussion between Loki and Luffy, and they're all actually eating something near the school that was basically frozen and all of that. And they're talking about how the food first is cold, so it's kind of tough to eat it. And at the same time, Luffy wants to take some food to Brook and Usopp because he thinks that always food will help everybody get better. And you can see how Luffy actually cares for his Straw Hat crew, you know. But then Loki says something very interesting to Luffy, because Luffy asks the question, "Do you think that that girl froze to death or whatever? Like, did she die?" And Loki is telling him that no, it was actually an instant freeze. So that means that she's not dead. And the only person or the only guy that can actually get her out of there is Ragnar, the red tusker and everything, the squirrel. And from that perspective, you go like, huh. So maybe that Ratatoskr is probably the only person that can free the giants that are stuck in Punk Hazard too. And maybe, just maybe, the person who actually froze those giants back in the day, maybe it was the previous holder of the Devil Fruit of Loki? Like that Loki had, probably? Maybe. You guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you feel about this theory? But right after that, we get to the final epic scene of this whole chapter, because we get literally a beam of darkness coming out of the sky, and Nami is like, "What the hell is going on?" And right after that, you basically see a whole pentagram on the sky that appeared, and from it, like beams of darkness from every side at the same time. And literally it appeared on top of the castle where the pentagram was drawn from the beginning. And from all of that, basically houses get turned into demonic houses, basically just like the devil fruit of Big Mom, how she could animate houses, plants, whatever you can think of, into making them homies and basically giving them like a life expectancy. That's the same thing, but now for Imu. And Imu is capable of doing the same thing. And now you can see houses turning demonic. You can see trees turning demonic. Everything is turning demonic around the whole perimeter where Imu showed up. And at the same time, everybody's like, "Oh my god, that is Conqueror's Haki." Zora's like, "That's Conqueror's Haki." Some kids are literally fainting. People are fainting because of that Conqueror's Haki and everything. And in the throne room, we can see that Imu made it into Elbaf. And Imu is still in a shadowy face. Like, we can't see Imu, and Imu is literally on the ground like, and coughing some blood and everything. So you can see that Imu's body is not doing so well. But right after that, from Imu's back, you see a wing pop up, and you go like, "Whoa, what the hell?" And from that wing popping up, the whole castle started to get destroyed, and everybody's like, "What's going on?" Some of the gods, knights, meaning Summers and Killingham, are like, "Oh my god, the Great One is here. Oh my god, he came personally," and all of that. And right there, in the scene, in the last page by itself, you see on top of the castle, the creator of the world government, one of the first 20, power called Akuma no Mi. And you can see Imu on top. Oh my god, looking like a demon. And he looks like a he, not a she. So Imu is a man and not a woman. And we get the final picture. King of the world, Saint Nerona Imu. And oh my god, from that single page, literally we can start guessing. So what does it mean? Does it mean that Imu has a devil fruit power that's a devil? Or does he have a devil fruit that's not even a devil fruit, but he became just a straight up devil? So it's maybe something that we don't even know about in the One Piece world already. But from that perspective, we literally saw finally the face of IMU. And all of this is gonna literally, just like I said it in my past videos, is going to set up one of the biggest fights in the whole One Piece world that we've ever seen. Because now on one side we've got Saint Nerona IMU, and on the other we're gonna have Loki with Nika, aka Joy Boy, aka Luffy, and maybe he's gonna get some help with from other people at the same time, because I don't think that dealing with IMU is gonna be easy, and so we'll see. And at the same time, I just wanted to go back to the face of IMU, because at the same time it looks like IMU is bleeding from his mouth. So at the same time, that's what I've been saying. I'm saying that his body is probably not too strong, and maybe that he's coming to an end of how much the physical body that IMU has can take, and that's why IMU is also looking for Vivi. So hopefully he does not get to Vivi whatsoever, because maybe it looks like IMU is trying to reincarnate itself into Vivi. So hopefully not. And on that note, guys, let's talk about all of this chapter down in the comments below, and don't forget to like your boy's video and subscribe to the channel.